What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. We are back again. It is Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2024. Big up the gang. We're going to be diving in and look at the latest news, as we usually do, man. We talk Arsenal every single day, man. We talk Arsenal every single day. There's some interesting stories going around, which I want to bring to your attention. So we will dive into those stories. Pedro Netto, price tag revealed. Mikel Arteta's plan to revamp the midfield in the summer, as well as Ben White contract done, dusted, kalas. It's all done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to touch on many other stories as well. Make sure we are hitting the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if we are new. Big up every single one of you. Come on, we appreciate you, man. All of that. Come on. Big up the people them in the building. Man, just made it. You made it in time, ladies and gentlemen. You made it in time. Make sure you fasten that seatbelt because we've got a lot to actually dive into this morning. So where should we start? Let's start with Ben White's contract. It does look like Arsenal are on the verge of making this one happen. Ben White, he's not getting a lot of praise recently. Is he an underrated right back? Underrated, according to the people online. Not everyone is giving Ben White the praise he deserves, and he has played well over the past couple of games, especially in that Liverpool game. Ben White was turning up. He was nutmegging dons. He was taking players on. Ben White was on smoke against Liverpool. And we have seen a different version of Ben White since he's been playing at right back. £50 million is what we initially paid for the player. Some of us said it's a waste of money. I mean, we are kind of seeing that return now. I mean, we're seeing a better version of Ben White, a more mature, more improved version of Ben White. Can I say he's the best right back available to Arsenal out there? No. Are there better right backs out there? Yes, 110%. But what he's doing at Arsenal so far is he's done a good job, and Arsenal are on the verge of getting a new contract done with Ben White. According to the reports, this one can be or can go up to about 180k per week. That's what Ben White is asking for, and Arsenal are open to getting it done. According to Sam J. Dean, talks between Arsenal and Ben White to renew his contract are now at advanced stages. So on that basis, we can only assume that, you know, fees have been agreed. You know, Arsenal know what they're going to give Ben White. Ben White knows what he's receiving, and therefore it's just about signing it, stealing it, and then delivering on it. Okay. So Ben White, guys, do comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Ben White. Good news for Arsenal Football Club. Are we going to see a financial return on investment for Ben White? I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. You know, giving him a new contract, obviously, you know, gives him a number of more years, obviously helps increase the value of the player, gives us the opportunity to sell the player, you know, within the next 12 months, 2 years, whatever it may be, whatever Mikel Arteta or Arsenal decide to do from there. But are we going to make more than £50 million from Ben White if we decide to sell him? That's the big question mark, and I don't think we are, to be quite fair. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Another player that I want to talk about in this video is Amadou Onana. There's a number of players we are going to be talking about, actually, because Arsenal do want to revamp their midfield, and Amadou Onana is at the heart of that revamp, according to some of these reports. Amadou Onana wanted by Barcelona, Chelsea. According to some reports, Chelsea have already approached Everton to try and get something done already. They're already in conversations with Everton, according to some of the reports. They're trying to get something done for the summer. They want to beat Arsenal to the race. Amadou Onana is open to leaving Everton in this next window that we have coming up in the summer. Obviously, a long way to go yet, but we have to bear in mind we are in February. We're going into March. These are the months where most teams will start putting together their plans. They will start, you know, start connecting with the agents, representatives, and you know, building that relationship, trying to get something done before they officially put that bid in. According to some of these journos, we've got Everton looking at about £60 million for Amadou Onana. £60 million, man. It's going to be a lot of money spent this summer. One thing we do know is in January, no money was spent. 90 million. I think 95 million was the max. Was the most amount of money spent by Premier League clubs in January. That is, it's unheard of, especially in the recent times. You know, I think last January it was hundreds of millions were being spent. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Arsenal, some people think that Arsenal are, you know, putting all of their finances in that summer market to revamp the midfield, to bring in a striker. They want to bring in a right winger. We could see 5 key players come in January, and in summer. And if that is the case, then it means that there must be a number of players that are going to be leaving. We do know Cedric Suarez, Mohamed El-Neni, they're definitely going to be gone. But players in this first team right now that are not getting minutes, getting a few minutes here and there, they are the fringe players, and they will be the players that we get rid of. You're looking at ESR. ESR is as one of is being looked at as one of the potential outgoings in this summer. Eddie Nketiah, another one that's potentially being looked at as an outgoing. You've got Nuno Tavares, you've got Lukonga, you've got a few dons that Arsenal will be getting at the door, trying to get some money from. It's not going to be significant amounts of money, but if we do well this season, perhaps win the Premier League, win the Champions League, that budget could be incredible. Add the the standard budget that you would usually get. It could take us up to about 250 million plus the sale of players. You could be looking at 300 million pounds for Arsenal to spend in the summer, and that will be incredible. The only question mark I will have, and the only concern I will have ultimately, is are these drivers, is Edu, is Richard Garlick, is Mikel Arteta going to be able to identify the right players? It's all good and well being linked with Amadou Onana. It's all good and well being linked with Martin Zubimendi, being linked with this one and that one. And this was the case last season. I think the only concrete link that we had last season was Declan Rice. Declan Rice was the only concrete one. Everything else was kind of BS, and we'll be linked with with Douglas Luiz, the same names that we're going to talk about today, in fact. So do you know what I mean? So we don't know, man. We just have to hope that Arsenal do identify the right players. We don't go and do another Kai Havertz. We don't go and sign some unknown don that nobody knows about. It's about bringing in significant improvements. If it isn't Premier League players, then it has to be Champions League quality players, Champions League proven players, in my opinion. Big up Static in the building. Big up my guy J Dub in the building as well. Nataro, I see you, man. Big up the real ones. Abdullah, big up Lowry boy. He says, like men sleeping. What's he talking about? What are you talking about, Laurie Blood? You want the Alks again, mate? He's living life. Laurie's always living life, man. Always living life on a day-to-day basis. It's not easy to win the Champions League. It's definitely not going to be easy to win the Champions League, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even put any bets on Arsenal winning the Champions League. I think maybe a quarterfinal, semi-final, perhaps, if we're lucky. But other than that, I just don't think we're going to get any further than that. You're looking at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich actually look like they're going to fold. I just got a feeling Bayern Munich are going to continue to capitulate after losing 3-0. They're targeting some dickhead players as well. I'm seeing players that they're targeting. Who does Tuchel want to bring in now? Who was Tuchel looking at recently? Bloody hell, Tuchel's looking at some dead players, blood. I think he's going to turn Bayern Munich into Manchester United 2014. I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot of money spent, though. There's going to be a lot of money spent, and winning that Champions League is not going to be easy. But if we can win it, that gives us a lot more money to spend. If we can win the Premier League, that gives us a lot more money to spend. And obviously, if we get rid of players, that gives us a lot more money to spend. How much money will Arsenal be spending? It has to be 200 plus, isn't it? After doing 240 last season, you can only assume that it's going to be 240 plus again, this season. But Amadou Onana is definitely one of the players that that Arsenal are looking at. You're looking at Amadou Onana, Martin Zubimendi, and Douglas Luiz. According to the reports, these players are the 3 top midfielders. Some of the journos do believe that Arsenal will be bringing in 2 centre midfielders as well. That's what we'll be looking at, 2 centre midfielders going into the summer window. So that could be interesting. Amadou Onana at the top of that list. I'm taking him. Potential replacement for Thomas Partey. Again, Thomas Partey being another player that will probably leave in the summer. Will be one of those sacrifices, isn't it? And if you're looking at it like that, and you're getting rid of Thomas, you're getting rid of Mohamed El-Neni, potentially ESR. That's 3 positions in those central areas that we need to replace. There's even talks of Fabio Vieira potentially leaving in the summer as well. So if Arsenal get rid of a number of players in midfield, then there clearly is going to be a revamp in midfield, isn't there? And Onana is at the top of that list. Martin Zubimendi is at the top of that list. Thuram is also at the top of that list as well, ladies and gentlemen. Thuram is another player that we are looking at, who currently plays for OGC Nice over in France, and he's doing extremely well. Some people have said there's better midfielders out there. For me, if I'm looking at a central midfielder right now, I think I said it in the WhatsApp group the other day, I want Manu Kone. Manu Kone is a baller. He's a baller. He's a complete midfielder. He can defend. He can attack. He's complete, and he's still young, still years ahead of him as well, so he can improve. And I think he just fits the type of mold of player we're looking for. We want someone that can do everything in the middle of the park. One thing that Mikel Arteta likes with, people have questioned this, and people were saying this the other day, and I actually wanted to respond to someone that did say this, is that we need to just find players for their positions. Like, if you're a left winger, play him as a left winger. If he's a right winger, play him as a right winger. But Mikel Arteta doesn't have that, that level of thinking. Mikel Arteta wants to bring in versatile players because he wants to know that I can play you anywhere and you're going to perform. If I sign this left winger, I want to make sure this left winger can play central midfield, right wing, number 10. You know what I mean? That's the thinking behind Mikel Arteta signings. And that's the reason why I would say Manu Kone fits the bill, because you can deploy him as a number 6, you can deploy him as a number 8, you can deploy him as a number 10. And then even if you deploy him as a number 8, he can fit various different roles. So I think he's an incredible player. But Thuram is someone that Arsenal are looking at. We do know Liverpool have been looking at him over the past couple of years as well, or maybe past 12 months. Haven't really heard anything about Liverpool interested in this player, but clearly Arsenal want to do something. And as I said, if we get rid of ESR, Thomas Partey, Mohamed Elneny, it means we need to bring in 3 replacements. And I expect 3 important players. We might see 2 replacements. I've heard that Arsenal want to bring in 2 centre midfielders in the summer window. And therefore, if we get rid of 3 players and we bring in 2 centre midfielders, then that might mean Sambi Lokonga stays. Sambi Lokonga could be that 3rd player that kind of fills the Mohamed Elneny boots and kind of gets games here and there. Will Sambi Lokonga be happy with that? Will Arsenal be willing to, to do that? Or does Mikel Arteta just want to get a whole bunch of new profiles to come in and just change what we're doing in the middle of the park? I think that's what we need, I think we need a real revamp. I think Thomas Partey needs to go. Lokonga needs to go. Mohamed Elneny needs to go. I mean, Jorginho borderline needs to go. I'll only keep Jorginho if we did bring in 2 significant improvements, 2 players that I know are going to carry that midfield, carry it, to the point where we don't necessarily need Jorginho, but he is there as an emergency backup, them way there. So I'll be happy with that, but we need to bring in 2 solid central midfielders. One other central midfielder or solid central midfielder could be Douglas Luiz. Now, Douglas Luiz is a player that, Arsenal love. I think a lot of people have grown to love Douglas Luiz this season. This season, Douglas Luiz has stepped up differently. I don't think I've ever seen Douglas Luiz perform to the level that he's performing to this season for Aston Villa. He has been phenomenal. I mean, he's passing, his movement, his directness, his aggression, his defending, his offensive work, like everything that Douglas Luiz has offered. He has literally been the main man for Aston Villa in midfield. The main man, literally carrying everyone in that midfield. Obviously, you got John McGinn and players like that work well with him. But I think Douglas Luiz ultimately is the glue for Aston Villa's midfield right now. And being 25 years old, I think this could be, a good signing for Arsenal. That he's proven himself in the Premier League right now. He continues to prove himself this season. Mikel Arteta likes him. Arsenal like him. We put a bid in for him before. That bid was rejected. If we would have got that deal done then, this would have been a bargain of a century. Based on the level of performances that Douglas Luiz has put in for Aston Villa under Unai Emery this season, if we would have got that level of performance out of him, if that 25 million bid was accepted by Aston Villa just 2 years ago, this would have been the bargain of a century. Big up my guy rocking the building now, but love and respect to you. Big up my guy Nathan Hawthorne. Big up the real ones in the building. Big up all the ones that are watching. Make sure you are hitting the like button. Today's just a little calm vibe where we are literally just running through stories, running through transfer updates, giving you my opinion on these stories. So yeah, man, a lot's happening, a lot's cooking, man. We're going to touch on Pedro Netto still, so make sure you fasten your seatbelts. We're kind of running through the Mikel Arteta revamp in midfield that's going to be taking place in the summer. There is a revamp 100% taking place in the summer. We're going to see players leave. We're going to see some surprising players leave. And we're going to see some new faces coming in. And Douglas Luiz, as I was saying, has done extremely well for Aston Villa. I just want to quickly look at his GA this season. Look at that. I mean, for a central midfielder is usually playing deep. I mean, I've seen Douglas Luiz more time playing as a 6 for Aston Villa. It's only Unai Emery that's kind of freed Douglas Luiz from the shackles of being a 6 to being more of an 8. And now we're seeing him, influence games, and we're seeing, decent GA halfway through a season. In fact, if you look at the previous GA, he got 12 GA in 37 games last season. So again, significant improvement under Unai Emery. But this season, we're seeing an even bigger improvement because the conversion rate the averages are better. We've got 7 goals for a central midfielder and 4 assists. So that's 11 GA. That's only 1 behind where he was last season in 23 games, which is more or less 14 games less than he played last season. So, Douglas Luiz is making tremendous improvements. And I think this would be a really, really, really good signing for Arsenal Football Club. I honestly think that Douglas Luiz would be a fantastic signing. I think this guy will change the midfield. I think, when you have a Douglas Luiz and a Declan Rice pivot, I just don't understand how you're going to break that. It's extremely difficult. And then you've got the playmaking qualities of the player linked up with, the Trossards and the Odegaards. Damn, it's going to cook, man. It's going to cook. It is going to cook. Obviously, another player that Mikel Arteta is in favour of as well is Martin Zubimendi, and he's another player that has done extremely well for Real Sociedad over the past couple of years. He's been their most important player. Plays as a 6, can play as an 8 as well. He's good defense. He's a good defensive qualities, good offensive qualities. Like this is an all-round complete football player, a complete midfielder. My only worries with Martin Zubimendi would be the physicality of the game in the Premier League. Would Zubimendi be able to manage the physicality of the Premier League? He's a great tight space player. I can't even get my words out. That's how I didn't even have a coffee today. I haven't even had a coffee. He's a great tight space player. Great in attack transition. His interceptions are high. Wins the ball back regularly. Great passer of the ball. Martin Zubimendi is clear. He is clear, and I know a lot of people are raving about Martin Zubimendi at this moment in time. According to the latest, Arsenal had agreed personal terms with the agent or the representatives. Everything's kind of been given the green light for this Martin Zubimendi deal. Go back 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, we were talking about this guy being a priority for Mikel Arteta going into the summer. And that could still be the case. He's got a release clause in his contract for about £52 million. It's not a lot of money. If you think about the amount of money Arsenal would have available to spend and the amount of money Arsenal have been spending over the past couple of seasons, it's not that much money. It's Ben White money. It's Ben White money for Martin Zubimendi, who has been playing incredibly well for Real Sociedad. We had 2 rejections. He rejected us twice before, just to let you guys know. He wanted to go to Barcelona at one point, and he wanted to stay in La Liga with Real Sociedad at one point. So he has already rejected us, but that also shows us that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal really, really like this player. The same with Douglas Luiz. They really, really like him. So when you're looking at that, you probably say to yourself, well, Martin Zubimendi and Douglas Luiz could be the 2 priorities that Arsenal make in the summer. They could be the 2 priorities. Douglas Luiz is being labelled at around about £80 million, which is a lot of money. Then you think about the Martin Zubimendi money, that's £52 million. Let's say we were willing to pay £80 million for Douglas Luiz. That's 2 centre midfielders for £132 million. £132 million. Arsenal have a budget of, say, 200 million. That still gives us 70 million in the bank. And then we've still got players to sell. So seeing as we've brought in 2 centre midfielders, we're going to have to get rid of 2 centre midfielders. Let's say that's Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey definitely has to be one of those players. And then I would say ESR being the other. Let's not even count Mohamed El Neni, because there's no money for that. It's just wages. We're talking about players that are going to give us a buck. Who's going to give us money? ESR and Thomas Partey. Now, I'll be happy to swap both of those players for both of these players. I'll be totally honest. These two players are definitely a significant improvement on both. Thomas Partey, a fully fit Thomas Partey, a fully confident, fully strong-minded Thomas Partey is on fire, and I think it would hold more weight to this debate, or not to this debate, to this comparison. Sorry, to this debate. I'm not talking about. I see. I haven't had latte. It would hold more weight if Thomas Partey was fully fit. If Thomas Partey was performing to the best of his ability, if you were looking at getting rid of him in ESR, he would hold more weight in that conversation. But right now, based on the two players and based on these two players, it doesn't hold no weight whatsoever. I'll be willing to get rid of Thomas Partey right now for Martin Zubimendi and a Douglas Luiz. And it's that clear. It's that clear. But they're the three players. They're the three centre midfielders that Arsenal are looking at. They're the main priorities. There is no one else. They want these three players. And if you're looking at all three of the players again, a lot of them, they all three of them have similarities. All three of them have similarities. They can defend, they can attack. They're more or less kind of like complete midfielders. They are complete midfielders, all three of them. So we know what type of profile Mikel Arteta is looking for, or the profiles he's looking for. Martin Zubimendi, Douglas Luiz, Amadou Onana. They're all they can all play the 6, they can all play the 8. I reckon they can all play the 10 as well. I mean, I've never seen Martin Zubimendi play the 10, but I've seen him get forward and get in behind as well. So I know he can definitely add to the attacking phases. But they've all got similar profiles, and therefore we know what type of player Mikel Arteta is looking for. Another player that Mikel Arteta is eyeing is Nico Williams, who we spoke about the other day. Now, what's being said in the reports is that we do want to add a winger, an attacking winger, to our team in the summer as well. So not only do we want to add 2 central midfielders, probably more defenders. We know Mikel Arteta loves to add a couple of defenders to the team, but we will also be looking at a winger, whether that winger be a left winger or a right winger. As we said already, Mikel Arteta prefers to have a versatile winger. So whatever winger he signs probably will be able to play on the left or the right. Martin Zubimendi is a Jorginho replacement. It could be. It definitely could be. Similar profiles to Jorginho, probably a bit more athleticism, I would say. Better in tight spaces than Jorginho. So he probably won't get caught under pressure. Managers pressure well, Martin Zubimendi. You can put 3 players on him, he will find a way out. He will find a way out, and he will find a way to keep the play ticking. He's a good player, Martin Zubimendi. But this guy here, Nico Williams, is another player that has improved over the past 12 months. He has made significant improvements. We actually looked at his stats the other day. His stats have improved. We have been linked with him for a little while. It was one of the reasons why he actually signed a new contract with his football club, Athletic Bilbao, I think it is. He signed a new contract with them because of the interest, but I allegedly there was rumor suggests that he wanted to move, but he wanted to stay loyal to Bilbao. He was convinced to stay at Bilbao because of his opportunities for Spain, something like that. But he was told by Bilbao that they would allow him to move within the next 12 to 24 months. That's why they continue to give him the same release clause. So the release clause that was initially in his contract is the same release clause that is in his contract now. The release clause never changed. If Atletico Bilbao were being dickheads about it, they would have increased that release clause. But the release clause is £50 million. So again, based on the 2 midfielders that we've signed, we still had 70 million based on a £200 million budget. So that still leaves us enough money to get this deal done, 15 million, and still have 20 million for maybe some backup defender. Again, taking into account we've still got to sell players. So more money will be spent, man. There's going to be a massive revamp. There's going to be a slight overhaul in midfield this summer. A slight overhaul, and we could see a striker still come in. Everybody wants to prioritize the striker, but does Mikel Arteta want to prioritize a striker? Or does Mikel Arteta just want to find himself, Nico Williams is? Does he want to find himself Pedro Netto's? Is that what Mikel Arteta wants to do? Doesn't Mikel Arteta want to go and get himself a Dusan Vlahovic? Doesn't he want to go and get himself a Haaland type striker? Or do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's actually weird. But there's no talks at the moment to suggest that Arsenal are going to be prioritizing a striker. It's just basically Arsenal fans hoping that we prioritize a striker. So I don't know, man. As far as I'm reading and as far as I'm being made aware, Arsenal want 2 central midfielders, they want a winger, and they probably will look at defenders. And the wingers that they're going to be bringing in are attacking-minded wingers that can switch, cut inside, and all that type of stuff, just like what we've got right now with Saka and Martinelli. So I'm going to be worried, and I'm going to be a bit disappointed if we don't actually sign a striker in the summer. But we've got so many months before we get there. Anything can change, anything can happen. If Arsenal, for example, don't win the league, or if Arsenal fall off and we struggle to score goals over the next 10, 15 games, whatever it may be, I think it's 14 games left, then come on, we have no choice but to go into the market and prioritize a striker. But then can I believe that Arteta and Edu will do that? No. Why? Because they didn't do it last summer. The data suggested that Arsenal needed a striker, but instead they want to sign Kai Havertz. So that doesn't give me a lot of optimism, but let's see if we learn from that. Let's see if Mikel Arteta can go out there and make something happen. Eddie needs to go in the summer, 110%. We need a beast of a number 9, 120 million%. Eddie Nketiah is definitely going to be on the chopping block. I think Mikel Arteta has kind of realized now that, and I think he's let it be known to Eddie that your time's coming to an end, bro. Your time's coming to an end, because he's had no impact other than the hat-trick that he scored against Sheffield United, which, I mean, there's no surprise there. I mean, he hasn't done anything since then. He hasn't had no impact when he started. He's had no impact off the bench. And I think Mikel Arteta has told him, listen, your time's done. And for the rest of the season, just know that you're going to be a bench man. Just know you're going to be a bench man for the rest of the season, and then we'll decide on what we're going to do with you. We're probably going to lose out on money with Eddie. We've given him 100K a week. No one's going to give him that money. Then it's going to take a lot of convincing for Eddie to kind of part ways with that money to go and join another club. Obviously, Eddie's aspirations will then come into play, boy, because at the end of the day, you can't be rejecting. If Mikel Arteta tells you as a player, you're not wanted, yeah? You're not wanted, bro. You got to keep it stepping because I'm bringing in X, Y, and Z. And you're like, nah, bro, I don't need to leave. I still got 2 years left on my deal when I'm on 100K a week. Listen, I don't know what we're going to have to say about Eddie at that point. I don't think Eddie's going to cause us problems like that, because what Eddie will have to do, like I said, is take a pay cut. He will have to go and join a team in the Championship or at the bottom of the Premier League, and take a pay cut. He's going to have to go down to maybe like 60K a week, 70K a week at max. I just don't see teams paying Eddie Nketiah 70K a week either. Money's hard to come by these days, bro. Money's hard to come by. Listen, you see teams are not spending money in the January window, bro, for a reason. Everybody's trying to be careful with what money they're spending, especially with FFP looming over everyone's books right now. FFP is scrutinizing bare, man. They want to look at everyone's books, man. Give me your books, blood. Shut your mouth and just give me your books. I need to know what your numbers are looking like right now, because the math just isn't mathing. Them way there. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Eddie Nketiah, man. All that 30 million talk. Yeah. I don't think so, mate. I do not think so. Anyway, another player that Arsenal have been linked with is this guy, Jared Braithwaite. And I mean, Everton are asking for ridiculous money for both Amadou Onana and Jared Braithwaite. According to this report here, it's a combined 150 million for both players. The game's gone mad. The game has gone absolutely mad, ladies and gentlemen. 150 million pounds for Amadou Onana and Jared Braithwaite. Yeah, Everton safe. Safe Everton. I don't know who's coming along to give you any type of money, anywhere near that type of money for this player or both of those players. You know, if you're looking at both of them, you talk about 70 million, bro. 150 blood clot M's. These men are mad. These men are absolutely bonkers. Some sad news for Liverpool at this moment in time. Xavi Alonso has said he is staying at Bayern Leverkusen for next season, including the sporting director of Bayern Leverkusen. He says that Xavi is staying at least for one more season after this season. So Liverpool fans and Real Madrid fans, you need to find a new manager. You got Jose Mourinho potentially taking over at Bayern Munich if Thomas Tuchel gets sacked, which probably will happen because Bayern Munich don't ramp, bro. And with the way Thomas Tuchel's been going, I don't see it lasting, mate. Don't see it lasting, especially with the talent ID, blood. The talent ID is questionable right now for Tuchel. Questionable. And that's one thing I never really noticed before. Like, you know, with Thomas Tuchel, yeah, I never noticed his talent ID. Like, I didn't look at because I don't remember who he brought in at Chelsea. Who did he sign for Chelsea? Like, his talent ID is definitely questionable, isn't it? Mourinho would cook at Bayern Munich 110%. We could get Marco Asensio for free. I would love Marco Asensio to come in, man. He's a good player and he's got the experience to kind of rub off on the other players, man. Brentford or Palace may take Eddie. I think, look, if Brentford take Eddie, they're only taking Eddie if they get relegated, blood. Listen, if Brentford take Eddie, it's only if they get relegated. They're not. If they stay in the Premier League, they're not taking Eddie Nketiah. They're not taking Eddie Nketiah, bro. I promise you. Eddie is just not good enough, says T. Campbell. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Big up Sarada. He won't leave that fast. That's what I'm saying. 100K a week. You think Eddie Nketiah is going to be trying to leave anytime soon? But then this is where Eddie Nketiah's career aspirations and his ambition comes into place, because are you ambitious? Do you want to be one of the best football players, or do you want to go and cement yourself on the first team, or are you just happy with the money and sitting on Arsenal's bench? In way there, like I feel like that's what Reece Nelson's on right now, and Eddie Nketiah is probably picking up on the same energy. All right, let's move on to the last topic of discussion. Man like Pedro Netto. Arsenal are in love with Pedro Netto. I think Arsenal are in love with all of the players that we spoke about in this stream. I think their least favourite is probably Amadou Onana. And I think he'll probably be a lot of our favourites. But I think the other players that were spoken about, Mikel Arteta really, really rates them. And another reason we can say this is because these are players that have been linked with Arsenal, have been made favourites to be signed by Arsenal over the past 2.5 years. Since that Mikel Arteta has kind of figured things out, got money to spend, he bought in the foundation of the Ramsdales, the Ben Whites, and then man there. From there, it was kind of that. Now it's about bringing in the main pieces. Zinchenko, Jesus, they was a part of the main pieces, right? But now we want to continue to add those main pieces. Declan Rice we've added, Kai Havertz we've added, Yuri and Timber, David Raya. We can only assume all 4 of those players were main pieces, but now we still need at least 2 to 3 more main pieces. We're looking at a main piece in the mid, 2 main pieces in midfield for me, and 1 on the right wing. And again, we're being linked with the same 3 names: Douglas Luiz, Martin Zubimendi, Pedro Netto. These are the 3 players that I'm telling you Mikel Arteta raves about. He rates these guys. Pedro Netto, we spoke about him so many times before, man. I don't really want to be going over the same shit that we're spoken about, but we have confirmation on how much Wolves are willing to sell the player for, according to who are these dons actually? Who is this? Team Talk. Again, don't take this as gospel, but Wolves will reportedly accept an offer of around £60 million to let Liverpool and Arsenal attacking target Pedro Neto move in the summer. So 60 million pounds. 60 million pounds. We know it. Arsenal know it. Will Arsenal be willing to pay it? Will Arsenal be willing to pay it? Because I don't know, man. 60 million pounds for a player that has been injured quite a lot of the time is extremely questionable. But then saying that, we've made questionable signings, haven't we? So therefore, we can kind of back Arteta to make some more questionable signings, like this one for 60 million. I like Pedro Netto, like minus the injuries. You take that out of his game, Pedro Netto is a qualified player, quality baller, Premier League proven, the type of player you would love to see at Arsenal. I mean, I've been wanting Pedro Netto at Arsenal for a number of years. When he was about 19, 20 and he first come to the Premier League, I was like, bro, this guy is cooking. This guy is cooking. And I thought to myself, listen, if Arsene Wenger was the manager at Arsenal, he would have signed Pedro Neto. Like, that's his type of player. Like, Pedro Neto is an Arsene Wenger type player. You know what type of numbers and what type of levels this guy's going to get to under an Arsene Wenger, because this is his type of player. So when I see Pedro Neto, I thought, you know what? It seems like inevitably this guy's going to be coming to Arsenal. Like, I just feel like one day we're going to get Pedro Neto at Arsenal. But obviously, what's put me off Pedro Neto is those injuries. I'm not against signing Pedro Neto, but first we need to sign a number 9. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think Mikel Arteta wants a Pedro Neto rather than a number 9. I think he would rather see, you know, Pedro Neto coming to the team, Martinelli more or less deployed as a number 9 with Trossard and Jesus. And I mean, even Pedro Neto's, you know, rotating and going into that false 9 role as well, because he's got the qualities to play that. Like, Pedro Netto has got the qualities to play the false 9 role. So if you've got like Martinelli, Pedro Netto, and Saka kind of playing in the front three, you might have Martinelli as the number 9, Pedro Netto on the left, and the Saka on the right. But throughout the game, you're going to be seeing those players interlink and interchange positions. So you'll see Pedro Netto as the number 9, you'll see Pedro Netto as the right winger, Saka, you know, vice versa, switching. Big up Sean. Massive shout out to all the guys in Barbados, man. Lovely country. Lovely, lovely country, man. I bet the weather is booming over there right now. Can't say the same for England, bro. It's grey, it's wet, it's just not looking good. Big up DS Electronics. I appreciate you each and every time. Without the injuries, Neto would be 80 to 90 million, says Baba Tunde. He's a good player. He's one of those ones that if he didn't have the injuries, he definitely could go for an easy 90, 100 million pounds. You know, he could go and play for Real Madrid. He can go and play for one of those teams. But what's holding him back is the injuries. And look, we know he's qualified, so we know Wolves are going to be demanding stupid amounts of money. I don't think a big team that looked at his potential and said, yeah, I reckon he could touch the heights, would take a risk because of the injuries. And you know, when you have an ACL injury the way he had one, it kept him out for a whole season, and then he had another injury recently that kept him out for about 4 months. It's not really looking good though, is it? You know, big up Rambo says get him and Tony, but I don't know, man. It's not really looking good, bro. Like, I don't want to bring, like, we already know that at Arsenal, the training is intense. Players are getting injured. Like, Mikel Arteta's got players playing with injuries. Man's got foot problems, ankle problems, knee problems. These men are still playing. You know, these men are still playing. So we know the intensity of training and what's going on behind the scenes at Arsenal is mad. It's mad. And obviously the medical doctors, they're not managing the situation. Well, you can't even say they're not managing the situations properly, because they must be. If you're getting players fit enough to actually play and they're actually carrying injuries, then yeah, and the players are still putting in good enough performances whereby you can't even tell if they're injured, medical doctors must be doing something. But to have a consistent run of injuries the way we have, you know, you start questioning things, innit? Start questioning things. And I just think, look, Pedro Neto coming into this current training regime, yeah, I just don't think he manages it. He's going to have to go to Dubai every week. He's gonna have to go to Dubai every week, bro. We must be kicking rocks. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're kicking, bro. Breaking ankles, foot issues. I don't know what type of injuries these guys are living with, man. But it's a mad thing. We need players to join Zinchenko, Jesus, Tommy, and Partey in the injury room to keep them company. Neto will be perfect. Plus, we have the Care Park training ground to make sure he gets injured. Hey, listen, we've got We're turning London Colney into London Hospital, blood. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's the Royal London Hospital, cuz it's not even called London Colney anymore, is it? I forgot the name of it. But it's London Hospital right now. And the medical doctors are under immense pressure to get players fit, especially for our Champions League games, especially for our rival derbies that we've got coming up, because we've got bare tough games coming up, bare tough games. We're going to Burnley this weekend. We've got a dickhead referee that's going to be managing that one. I'm not frightened of Burnley. I think Burnley are going to get slapped up, to be quite fair, but it's after that. It's what comes after Burnley. That's what I'm worried about. Going to Porto. I'm not even worried about Porto. Look at me like this, contradicting myself. I'm not even worried about Porto, to be quite fair. But there are games that I am worried about, and I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, guys. Big up James Bond in the building. Come on, man. Tony would put the team under a lot of pressure. Wax, I had a feeling Alonso would stay at Leverkusen. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be staying, man. He ain't going to be coming to the Premier League. Maybe one more season. According to the Bayern Leverkusen sporting director, he's going to be staying. So that's bad news for Liverpool and for Real Madrid, who are both interested. I think Liverpool, you know what Liverpool might end up doing? They might go for another German. They might go for another German, They actually, I ain't got a feeling, but I do have a feeling because it just comes to me now. So I do have a feeling. I got a feeling that Liverpool might actually turn to Thomas Tuchel, Like, how would Liverpool fans, if you're in the chat, I know we've got a couple of Liverpool fans that join us sometimes. If any Liverpool fans are in the chat, would you, man, accept Thomas Tuchel as your manager? It could be Flick as well. Absolutely, Flick is obviously on the short list. There's going to be a number of top managers on the shortlist for Liverpool. Same managers are going to be on the shortlist for Barcelona as well. It's going to be tough for a number of teams to actually get their hands on a qualified manager or the manager that they actually want. Because if everybody wants to get themselves Jurgen Klopp, not everyone can have Jurgen Klopp. So you're going to have at least 4 or 5 big teams in the summer fighting. You've got Conte. Looks like he's going to be taking over at AC Milan in the summer as well. There are moves that are taking place, man. It's the surprising one for me. Is the Liverpool one, is the Liverpool one. The surprising one for me was the fact that Jurgen Klopp is leaving, and I'm looking forward to seeing who they bring in as a replacement. That is an exciting moment for all fans, because when you're a neutral and when you're a fan of the Premier League in general, it's like you always want the best managers there. I was upset to hear Klopp was leaving. I don't want Klopp to leave. I want Klopp to stay, and I want every other team to go and get themselves a bad boy manager as well. Let's bring the Super League to the Premier League, blood. All the best managers here, all the best players here. Them way there. It makes it more difficult for us to win a trophy, but it makes it even more competitive. And you know what? Even though it makes it more difficult, if Arsenal did win the Premier League under those circumstances, having a Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Unai Emery, Flicks here, you've got all the top managers here, and Mikel Arteta manages to get you over the line for a Premier League, it means more, so much more. Do you know what I mean? Because, especially when you're looking at the years of, doing a double in 2022. 2022? Did we do a double in 2022? 2002, sorry. It could actually mean more than all of those years. I don't think it will mean as much as the Invincibles means to us, because that's just an unbelievable season that no one has been able to replicate. No one major anyway. I think Rangers went on an invincible run, didn't they, under Steven Gerrard before he joined Aston Villa. Jamie Carragher should be their manager, innit? Come on, Jamie. You got all the talk, blood. All the talk. Put that talk to action. Go and manage Liverpool. Go and make them the team that you want them to be, man. Jamie Carragher's a fraud, anyway. I like Jamie Carragher. You see that Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, Ian Wright, and Roy Keane, the little podcast that they've got going on. I could watch that all day. I can't lie to you, because they go into personal stuff as well, and it's always good to hear personal stuff from a football perspective, like a football player's perspective or whatnot. So I do like the overlap. It's a pretty decent podcast. But in terms of Jamie Carragher as a player, does his name hold any weight in this football world? No. It's literally just that Champions League that he won with Liverpool under Rafa Benitez that gives him any type of recognition, you know. Yeah, I hope Klopp changes his minds like Fergie did in 2003. Klopp's won every trophy at Liverpool, so he might as well just keep it moving, innit? Klopp will not be a coach of any other team in the Premier League. Yeah, no, he's not going to manage any other team in the Premier League. I got a feeling that he's the reason why him and Xavi have both come out and said we're done is because he's moving to Liverpool. He's moving to Liverpool. Now, I think Barcelona reached out to Liverpool or reached out to Jurgen Klopp. Sorry, he's moving to Liverpool. What am I talking about? He's moving to Barcelona. Bloody hell! Bloody. I just literally clocked what I was saying there. No, Jurgen Klopp. I got a feeling he's moving to Barcelona. I got a feeling that Liverpool and Barcelona had conversations prior, and both parties were open to making it happen. And once Barcelona got the green light and got the go ahead from Jurgen Klopp to say yes, I'll take over in the summer. That's when Xavi come forward and said, yeah, cool, I'll resign at the end of the season then, because all they needed was that green light. I mean, that could be wrong. And they waited for Xavi, and now they've got the process that they're going through, and they could be looking at managers, and they might be reaching out to Klopp now, and Klopp decided to say no. I don't know what's happening, but that's kind of like my little theory. I think Klopp's going to be moving to Barcelona. But it'd be interesting to see who Liverpool actually get. But this Pedro Netto situation, yeah, £60 million. I'm not too sure about it. You know, I'm not too sure about it. We're going to have to kind of see what Arsenal do. Nico Williams, Pedro Neto, they're the two kind of wingers that Arteta's looking at. And then you've got Amadou Onana, Martin Zubimendi, and the final one was Douglas Luiz. They're the three players that could be coming in to revamp this midfield. Let me run through some more of these comments. Get your comments in, ladies and gentlemen. I've literally got about 2 minutes, and I'm going to wrap this up. I need to jump on a phone call, and then I need to prepare a meeting. So, yeah, do hit the like button if you are just joining the stream. Big up Nunn in the building. Big up Nathan. Big up Sarada, Narato. Big up Troy. Big up all the people I can see at the bottom of this chat. Nunn says Neto is a baller, but he's injury prone. We need players that are not brittle. Let's get a big striker, another midfielder for Partey, and maybe a defender for cover. Proven players only. I agree with that, man. I agree with that. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of skeptical over Neto, and I'm an R in. I like the quality of the player, but you know, he's injury prone, man, and you know, coming into Arsenal's training ground, I think he's just gonna break. He's gonna break, man. He's this guy. He's going to be Santi Cazorla at the end of Santi Cazorla's Arsenal career. And that's what he will be at Arsenal. I just can't see it working out any other way. So we might as well leave Pedro Neto and go for Nico Williams. Or, I mean, is there any other winger that you, man, would go for? Can anyone comment down below right now? I know people are putting Mbappe in chat. We're not doing Mbappe today. Yeah, we're not doing up Mbappe. But is there another winger that you, man, would be happy with seeing? Like, who is out there right now, whether it's in the Premier League, whether it's in the French league, whether it's the Spanish league, what winger is out there right now that you, man, and you girls in the chat actually want? Who do you guys want? Who do you guys want? What winger is out there? I prefer Neto instead of Nico Williams. I mean, I in terms of like the quality, I mean, it's hard to say, you know. It's hard to say because Nico Williams' ball control and the tech that he has is mad, bro. Like Nico Williams' ball. I think you just go and watch Nico Williams highlights after this. Just and watch the highlights from this season. Watch, like, he's always had the tech. He's always had the tech. But just go and watch his highlights from this season. And let me know your thoughts on Nico Williams from this season, because I think Nico Williams' technical ability, ability to take a player on and beat a man, I think he goes the one over Pedro. He does one more than Pedro, shall I say. Pedro's a good player though. Direct, can strike a ball, great free kicks. You know, there's I mean, the pros between both of them, it's just hard. It's like I don't know who I would like. The thing that's just letting me down with Pedro Neto is just the injuries, man. The injuries are really, really letting me down, bro. I have to be honest. Jonathan David or that brother playing on Granit Xhaka's team? What brother? What brother? Is it Stanitis? Is it Stanitis? Is that his name? I'm only familiar with him recently, you know. Kubo. Who's Kubo? That name rings a bell. Let me quickly check that name. Just so I can, sometimes I need things to trigger my memory. You guys know how I work, yeah? I've been doing up the loud packs for too long. Oh yeah, this Japanese Don. Yeah, I do know this Don. I'm pretty sure he signed for Barcelona. He come from the Barcelona Academy, I'm pretty sure, this guy, yeah? Barcelona, I think he plays for Real Sociedad, yeah? But I'm pretty sure he come through the Barcelona Academy, or the Barcelona Academy signed him as a player. Let me just look at his stats. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Can't even see his stats. Why is it not showing me his stats? Maybe one of you guys in the chat already know. But yeah, that guy Kubo is a decent player still. He's a decent player, man. Again, I'm not too sure whether he would be able to manage the physicality. You see Matoma's kind of died out. I think Matoma's kind of found it difficult. He's being linked with a lot of teams at the moment, Matoma, isn't he? Is he still being linked with a move to Arsenal? 26. What's his GA saying this season? I ain't really followed Brighton this season, you know. I mean, his GA ain't that bad actually. He's on 7 GA in 18 games. That's Matoma. Matoma's on 7 GA in 18 games. It's not too bad. I mean, he's almost having more GA than he did last season. So pretty awesome. We've got Leao in the building. We've got Matoma, shouts for Matoma in the building as well. Big up Freddie. Haven't seen you in a while, my guy. Good to see you back in the chat. Naga says Gnabry or Sane. Sarada says Leao. Yeah, bro, he's a baller, man. Like, he would definitely be a winger that I'm taking. M. Bueno says Vegas Gunner. M. Bueno from Brentford. Good power and speed. See him bully Konate last season. Yeah, I mean, there's so many wingers out there. You're spoilt with choice, isn't it? You're spoilt for choice, should I say, man? Fuck no. You're spoilt for choice. But I like the type of wingers that people were mentioning in the chat. Is it Real Madrid that signed him? I'm pretty sure that guy played for Barcelona. Was it Real Madrid, man? You got me. Let me look at this. Was it Real Madrid that he signed for? Was it Barcelona? Oh, my alarm's going off and it's in the bathroom. Oh shit. I think it was Real Madrid, isn't it? It's not telling me. Yeah, no, it's Barcelona. No, that's someone else. That's Kubala. Kubala. There's actually a defender called Kubala in real life. He's actually hard. I can't remember who he plays for though. Yeah, man. Wax, I've seen him a few times. Nico Williams can be the best dribbler in the world, but he's not consistent. And you know what? The wickedest thing is that I felt exactly the same way when I was looking at him over a year ago. But look at him this season. He's improved. The data is improved significantly. His GA's improved significantly. And the eye test, he looks so much more confident. He looks so more mature. You know, he looks so more mature as a player now. I think taking a big step to a team like Arsenal, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'll take Nico Williams, man. I'll take him all day long. But I hear what you're saying there, man. Right, my alarm's going off in my bathroom, and I need to go and turn it off. Bro, Wax, I'm telling you, Arsenal main targets are Tony, Pedro, Frimpong, Hato, and Zubimendi. Big up Kuvi. No, but love and respect to you, man. Big up all the real ones in the building. I'm going to have to wrap this up now. I wish I could spend more time with you guys because I can see more people are joining and getting their comments in. I wish you guys could have come earlier. Make sure you are joining me at the beginning of the streams, man. Beginning of the streams. Turn those notification bells on now. We go live 11:30 UK time in the morning. 11:30 in the morning. So join me again tomorrow. We will be back, obviously. Make sure we're hitting that like button. Do subscribe to the channel if we are new. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace. Peace. You. Yeah. I'm talking to you, blood. I need you to hit the like button.